In the U.S. heartland, a modern prison sits virtually empty. It might become a new home for terrorist suspects from the detention center at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Today, federal officials got a first-hand look. CNN's Elaine Quijano is on the scene for us in Thompson, Illinois, where there's a controversial idea getting some momentum. Elaine, what's the latest?
That's right, Wolf. This is a controversial idea. In fact, one Illinois Republican congressman said he doesn't want this state prison behind me here in Thompson turning into some kind of Gitmo North, some kind of rallying cry for terrorists around the world. But residents that I've spoken with here in Thompson say their town has been through a lot and they desperately need some economic help. At the maximum security Thompson Correctional Center in northwest Illinois, federal officials from a host of agencies poured in. Representing the Departments of Homeland Security, Defense, and Justice, and the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, the officials got a close-up look at the 1,600-cell jail that could one day house dozens of Guantanamo terrorism suspects. Tara Kleckner can see the Thompson prison from her backyard. She understands the security concerns about the increased threat that would come with having terror suspects in her hometown. But she insists the community's 600 residents deserve a chance at the prison jobs that would also come if the detainees are moved here.
If it can boost our economy and give our people the opportunity to prosper and make more money and make a better living for their families, I think the risk is worth it.
Both the Democratic senator and governor of Illinois agree.
We have a chance to bring more than 2,000 good-paying jobs with benefits to this region.
Yet Illinois House Republicans like Congressman Donald Manzullo, whose district includes Thompson, warn that bringing terror suspects to U.S. soil would invite a terrorist attack.
That's all we need in northern Illinois is to be known as the Gitmo North, the place that replaced Gitmo.
While Thompson resident Randy Stricker likes the idea of jobs, he wonders at what cost.
Kind of leery a little bit, I guess. It makes you nervous, yeah, a little bit.
Right now, there are only a reported 144 minimum security inmates that are being housed right now in the prison behind me. As for the federal government's next move, Wolf, an administration official will only say that no decision has been made. Wolf.
All right, we'll watch it with you. Elaine's on the scene for us. So is this a future home for the Guantanamo detainees? Federal officials today got a closer look at what the Illinois governor calls this virtually vacant prison. Now it's your turn for a closer look. Tom Foreman is here at the Magic Wall. Show our viewers, Tom, a little bit more about this prison.
Let's get a point of reference here, Wolf. This is about 1,700 miles from where this prison is to down in Cuba, where currently these inmates are being held right now. This is a Guantanamo facility down here, about 90 miles from Florida down to Cuba. But if you go down to actually where the Guantanamo Bay military facility is, it's much further down the island here. And you can see it. It's not an entirely massive place, but boy, has it been in the news a great deal. Let's take a look at some of the pictures. This is the place that we've seen so many times as we've talked about these terror suspects who've been held there. At one time, there were close to 800 or so down in the area, but this is where we had discussions about how they've been treated and everything else. This is what would happen in this area. We're talking about, right now, there are 6 camps for prisoners here. Camp Delta, this area right here, the cells are about 8 feet long, 7 feet wide, 8 feet high. Cells include a metal bed, a sink, and a toilet. And we know this, that right now, there are about 240 detainees here. The cost of building this, $54 million. The annual cost of operating it, about $60 million. So that's the current situation. Now let's fly back up here past Florida, over the middle part of the country as we head up here toward Illinois, and we move into this prison area that we're talking about here. It's about 150 miles to the west of Chicago. This is the town of Thompson. You saw that Elaine was there a moment ago, about 600 people there. And if we move right into the prison itself, you can take a look at, this is the way it lays out. You saw the picture that Elaine had. To remind you, that's exactly what it looks like. It's very similar in design in some ways to the Supermax prison in Colorado, where we already have some terror suspects. Obviously, not far away at the prison in Marion, Illinois, they also have terror suspects, so it's not unknown here. Here's what we know about it. It's a level 1 adult male maximum security facility, which is a way of saying it's very secure. 146 acres, 8 housing units, and 1,600 cells here. And what we're talking about in terms of people coming here is that they'd come to these cell houses, which are precast reinforced cement walls. There's a 12-foot exterior fence, 15-foot interior fence, and a dual-sided electric stun fence in the middle of all of that. So, as prisons go, Wolf, this is a pretty secure facility, and you're talking about bringing only about 100 or so here. That's the plan, at least what they're talking about.
And who would run this prison, at least the section reserved for the Guantanamo Bay detainees, if in fact they're moved here?
It would not be just run-of-the-mill prison people doing it. The Department of Defense would actually manage the wing that housed these folks. That's the plan that they're talking about now. Obviously, they have to make sure that it will all be secure. But look at this. When you look at the area here, there aren't a whole lot of people around here. If you go down and look at the town, it's not terribly big. We saw Elaine, as I said, the sign said about 600 people, something like that. That's one of the reasons why in places like cafes around there, plenty of people are saying, bring on the jobs.
They could use the jobs.
Sure.
Sitting empty, or practically. They put some people to work. That's what they need here. With the modern technology in this prison, I can't picture anybody escaping.
So we'll see, Wolf, how much that modern technology convinces the federal authorities who are considering it. I know when they opened the Supermax in Colorado, the technology really was pretty dazzling. These guys are very much sealed in there. Nobody's escaped from the Supermax. It had protection against attacks from missiles, from any kind of terrorist that might try to hit it. It had protections against helicopters landing in the yard, had all sorts of things. The question is, will that meet those standards? Will it satisfy the community, the politicians, and the White House as it tries to meet this deadline on moving the Gitmo detainees?
I've been down to Guantanamo Bay, and let me tell you, the biggest difference between the detention center at Guantanamo Bay and this one up in Illinois, you know what the biggest difference is?
A lot of ocean.
Snow. The weather in Cuba is except for hurricane season, the weather is beautiful, sunshine, they go outside, they get a lot of fresh air. Here in some of these guys have never seen snow or the cold temperatures they get in the winter in Illinois. That's not going to be as pleasant for them.
That'll make a difference, but I'm joking, but I'm not joking when I also say water, because the simple truth is, you know, for many people, that 90 miles between Cuba and Florida and the turf of Cuba in between gives a lot of people a lot of comfort in that. This raises a different question for people.
That's a good point, too. All right.